Alright, so this is actually going to be the second time that I've recorded this video. If you're here, you're probably watching because you're from the thread. Yeah, so this is going to be the second time that I've recorded this, like I said. There's a problem with the redstone in the last video, essentially. So if you're watching this now, don't worry about it. On single-player worlds, the way redstone works is almost like an electrical current. It is transferred from where you hit the button to its target, essentially, what it's affecting. On multiplayer servers, just because of, regardless of your computer or internet, just the fact that it has to connect to a server somewhere basically means that there's going to be delay by default. So what that means is basically there's a better way to do this redstone, and you're going to need to be doing it differently if you're doing this on a multiplayer server. So I'm actually going to go ahead and show you how this works, this hybrid cannon, show you how to build it, and then show you actually on Dysteria another example of how you're going to have to slightly adjust the redstone. Just so you have an idea, basically what I found is being on a multiplayer server essentially creates on its own just about like around one fully delayed repeater's worth of delay. So yeah, basically here we're going to have 9 2/3 charged repeaters. Essentially, we're only going to be using 8 2/3 actually online on Dysteria. Anyway, so the way this works is if you're going to be trying to shoot through water, you essentially need to morph sand and TNT in midair so that when that sand and TNT lands, essentially the area where the water would have been, that 1 by 1 by 1 area that would have had blast resistance that water takes up, is now being taken up by sand with TNT inside it, which means that 1 by 1 block is damageable. Yeah, so the general concept of this cannon is you have 13 dispensers here that act as propellant for the cannon. And then here are the 2 dispensers that, due to a button and a certain amount of delay, allow up to a maximum of 10 pieces of TNT to be fired at once. However, by removing some of this delay, you can adjust that. Right, so in terms of the sand, when the buttons hit, it triggers all of the repeaters that activate the dispensers, as well as dispensing the TNT that will be fired. And a signal also goes around through here, following these repeaters, and then hitting these 6 pistons. Now the way this cannon works is essentially there's 3 cobwebs placed here. Now if you'll notice those pistons at the bottom, they will break the cobwebs once activated. Now, alright, so moving on. I don't know if you knew this, you may have. If a piece of sand comes in contact with a cobweb, it'll actually fall through it. Basically, so this sand is in this 1 by 1 area where the cobweb is, essentially. And so the idea of this cannon is you basically load sand into the cannon right here. There's now 9 sand, and it's falling through. So when you activate these pistons on a very specific delay, it's going to break the cobweb, and in doing so, breaking it as a piston hitting a cobweb will break the cobweb. While it breaks it, it will also shove the sand right here into the barrel of the cannon, and due to the delay, the special way it was timed, it'll be shot out of the cannon along with this TNT and go towards that wall. So yeah, let me give you an idea of how it works. So first of all, if you were to not use sand, you would basically see this. As obviously you don't need to use this much charge. So there you go. That's a lot of TNT, as you can tell, enough to kill that way over there. Not a single block was damaged. That's because there's no sand to essentially take up the space where the water is with TNT inside of it to penetrate the water. So you'll notice that it took 5 from each. And again, you can make that a higher number by removing some of these repeaters. But yeah, so you will have to replace the cobwebs each time. But so we're going to go ahead and load some sand into the cannon. This is 15 pieces right here. Press the button again, which triggers the propellant, TNT on the right, ticking multiple times, sand, and the sand is pushed into the way, and it's launched. And as you can see, here you go. There's a little hole in the water. And so if you wanted to... So this is actually the second part of the video, which is essentially why I remade the video. If you, or when you're raiding a base, if it's anything but on just about bedrock, there's a large chance that you may need to shoot somewhere through water that isn't at the very bottom of the base. Now this is the part that hybrid cannons become difficult. Basically, just because of the way that they work and the mechanics of that sand TNT block, you basically need, it just needs to, it's very glitchy. So the timers on these cannon allow it to work, but due to the way the redstone has to be set up, you can't make that the sand TNT block, you can't make it explode on impact with the wall. You can't adjust the time, or the hang time in the air. Basically, it has to stay, it has to be shot, hit the wall, basically bounce up and fall down on max delay. You can't shorten that time. So, generally the way that you get around it is doing something called sand stacking, which is effectively the process of only shooting sand, not TNT, so not using this. You would only be using sand, and you'd be firing out of the cannon, so it effectively stacks up to a certain Y, where you would then launch TNT, land it on top of that stack of sand, and then it would blow up, penetrating the water. So let me kind of give you an idea of what I mean. We'll go ahead and use 6 pieces of sand. Actually, that's going to be too much, but whatever. You see how it was pushed there and went in? Clearly, not all of it lands exactly, and so that was kind of the, that was basically the purpose of remaking the video, because due to the redstone, just the way that it works, it's glitchy by nature. This is effectively the hardest part about raiding. Basically being lucky enough for your sand to stack effectively. As you saw right there, just about not a single piece of it landed, which is very unfortunate. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it looks fine. We'll go ahead and just put another barrel on the cannon and see if that works better. But yeah, that's basically, if you get nothing else from this video other than just the very basics of how to make this cannon, understand that this is glitchy and there isn't too much you can do about it. But hopefully this should resolve some of the issue. Yeah, see, that stacked a little bit better, but yeah. So just fiddle with it. It'll have different mechanics on multiplayer servers because of the lag, but sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. In the end, it costs a lot of TNT to raid a base, and you're going to need to have the money to buy it to just be shooting the amount of sand it needs to do this. But anyway, so that's how you do it. So now that you've seen the general idea of how this works, let me go ahead and show you guys how to build it. And then I'll show you how it works on the actual Dysteria server. And hopefully it'll be a little better there. So here's where we're going to build it. It's pretty close to the wall. And obviously, with all the charge that's in there, this cannon can shoot pretty massive distances. But anyway, so there's a few things you're going to need. Yeah, so the first thing you're going to want to do is basically set up 2 4-block long little 1x4s. You don't have to make this out of obsidian by any means, but if you have access to it, this is going to be the best way to ensure your cannon doesn't blow up, but that's really up to you. Next, you're going to go ahead and put 5, not 4, 5 slabs down. This is basically going to be where any of the TNT lands or flies over. It gives it basically an arc. From there, raise each side up to 4, creating an L. And then on the right side, the far side, fill in the wall. Don't do so here, because this is the area where the pistons will be, this little area will be pushing it, and you'll be loading the sand into the cannon. So go ahead and you can make a little roof on it, and maybe even give it a little bit of a barrel to increase the accuracy of the cannon. This will help with the sand somewhat. Oh yeah, wow, this is going to be really close. Whatever. Go ahead and place another piece of obby to finish this little window. And again, this doesn't have to be obsidian, it's just the block that I'm choosing to use. And you'll stack 2 dispensers on top of each other. This is where the TNT is going to be sent from sent out of the cannon. Build up another wall of obsidian, and then you're going to start placing down those 13 dispensers that will be working as propellant for the cannon. Once you've done that, place another 2 walls of obsidian, and just a little small L shape to outline the last dispenser. Go ahead and fill it with water, and you're good to go for the skeleton of the cannon, basically. Next step, we're going to need a button to activate the cannon. There you go. And send redstone signals out to both sides of the cannon and connect them to all 6 of these dispensers with repeaters. As you'll hear or you'll see how this repeater will trigger both of these dispensers just by the signal jumping vertically. There you go. Yeah, you'll hear a few people in the background. Okay, so we need to activate the dispensers that will actually be sending TNT. On this side, you can put as many as you like, or like however few you want, but this is going to be the delay that's on the TNT that's fired. So you can't, basically you want to leave it like this, because essentially you could, if you really wanted to, lower this, but basically what that would mean is when the TNT and sand is fired, it's going to bounce up, and there's a pretty, I would say it's going to be maybe 1 out of 20 or so chance that sand and TNT is going to go off together somewhere here in the wall. Basically, the idea is you want it to be on a big delay and land on top of where you're desiring for it to explode, and have it do damage that way. So basically, I suggest having 7 repeaters on this side. 7, okay. There you go. Connect that redstone signal to the main current here, and we'll start working on the next part that activates the pistons. This is where things get tricky. Let's not do that yet. Go ahead and place a 3x3 out here and get some pistons. Pistons go 3 stacked on top of 3 right here, triggered by 3 repeaters, with a signal going back on, if you're on single player, not multiplayer, so not the stereo, single player, you're going to want 9 2/3 repeaters fully charged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay. 9, 10. There you go. Notice how this one isn't fully charged. So you're going to connect the redstone signal back to the main area. And now once you place a cobweb here, you'll be able to trigger the sand falling and landing on top of it. So go ahead and fill the cannon with TNT. I'm not gonna fold all these dispensers up, because that would be just a little bit abusive at this range. Yeah, you by no means need to use all of these to shoot minimum distance. It would just be kind of a waste of TNT. But yeah, go ahead and put the dispensers, or the cobwebs down. Get some, actually, you know what? Go ahead and use gravel, because it has just a tiny bit higher blast resistance. Place the gravel, and go ahead and click the button. That'll activate, hopefully if you did it all right. There you go. And bam. You were able to penetrate through the water. So that's how you make a hybrid cannon. I'm going to go back over here one last time and test something that I set up. There's a hole going down, I believe, 20 some odd blocks. Let me just... Yeah, no, I just want to see if I can figure out why this wasn't working as well as it was earlier. It may just be... I mean, there may not be much I can do about it, but... Yeah. Hopefully this works as planned. There you go. See, now that was a lot more on target. This was, I believe this was somewhere around 20 blocks deep, and we fired, oh god, I don't know, a lot of sand. But you saw how much made it into the hull. So that would be basically what you'd be doing. So, yeah, it might have just been glitching earlier. Let me go ahead and do it one more time and see if it is a little bit more willing to cooperate now. Alright, so that's 18 sand. Much better. See, like I said, I added this little thing here, barely adjusted it at all, and it made a world of a difference. So, the cannons are glitchy, but so is TNT. And that's the general idea of how to do it. So, now you've seen how to do it on a single player world. If you want to see how to make a cannon for a multiplayer server, this exact same thing, basically, all you need to do, now this is very important, so I don't think I'm going to really go ahead and bother actually get onto Dysteria and showing you guys this, because I would just be doing the same thing over. You know how to do it. But if you were to do this on any multiplayer server, what you want to do is, because of the lag, essentially remove one repeater, and the next repeater forwards, or any other repeater. So you should have a total of 9 right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. As you can tell, this last repeater, set it to 2/3. It should look like this. Notice how there should be one little empty space open. So you should have 8 and 1 charged to 2/3. Now if you do this on a multiplayer server, the lag from you to that server should basically equal out to about 1 fully charged repeater, so it should equal out to this one that I removed, and now this cannon will work on multiplayer. If you, for some reason, just don't want to do this or don't understand what I said, the cannon will still work. Just note how we fired about 18 sand and launched and landed a pretty awesome amount. You're going to be lucky if you get about 3 or 4 sand stacked. So, don't overlook it. So just to say this one more time, I probably will post something about this in the thread itself. If you're shooting on single player, you should have 9 fully charged repeaters on the left side, and then 1 more repeater charged to 2/3 delay. If you're doing this on multiplayer, that means Dysteria, you should have 8 fully charged repeaters, fully delayed, and 1 more, like this, charged to 2/3. This is what your cannon should look like, this exactly right here, if you're trying to make this specific hybrid sand stack and water penetration cannon on multiplayer servers. Anyways, so that's about it. This was the last out of 3 videos. Hopefully this made some sense and wasn't too confusing. If you're new to Redstone, I believe in the post above this I went over the role of each cannon material in the cannon. I don't know if I really described what it exactly does, but you can go ahead and look that up there. But yeah, so that's how to make a hybrid cannon. I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to put them on the thread.